Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. I'm going to start with a teaser. Ready for the teaser? Are you all ready for the red? Nope, I got it wrong. Are you ready for the blue wave? Mark my word, folks. The blue wave is on the way. The blue wave is on the way. Welcome aboard, Michael Rudden. How are you doing, my dear brother? Lee Grant, my conservative good friend, is here. Yvette Avery Herod, our one and only. No, we all are now union activists. But we have a leader, Yvette Avery Herod. Eric Hayes, how you doing, my brother? My brother who repeats the same thing over and over again. He refused to want to change his mind to reality, but I love him anyway. E2247 is in the house. And of course, the one and only Bridge MCP. Welcome aboard, my Irish stallion, my Irish lady. How are you doing today? Great to see you. And we have Maywood. Maywood coming in from, I think, California. How are you doing, my dear good old Maywood? Deb Dennis says hello to everybody. And Michael AVQ Rodnen está aquí con nosotros también. So we are going to have a great show for you today. If my phone rings and it's a special number, I'm going to have to take it because it seems like we have a sewer line backup in this house. And two sinks are already starting to flood with kind of grayish kind of water, kind of stinky water, you know what I mean? And we're trying to get a plumber out here. Can't find one, but we're trying. So if anyone is in the Houston area, send the plumber and say, hey, come guys. Well, you know how that goes, guys. We're working hard. We're working hard. Okay, what else we got here? Para ver if I have to shout out to anybody else new before I get started. Anybody else want me to say anything? Let's see. Okay, Michael Rodman says, I'm over the numbers again, but that's all right, Michael. You know we love you, Michael, because you're so busy working. New York Times, China's record drought is drying rivers and feeding its coal habit by weather in southwestern China has crippled huge hydroelectric dams, forcing cities to impose rolling blackouts, driving up the country's use of coal. Kind of double Dutch sword, huh? Heat wave in China is the most severe ever recorded in the world. A long spell of extreme hot and dry weather is affecting energy, water supplies, and food production across China. Vast swaths of China has experienced over 100 degrees days for over 2 months straight. China already outpaces the United States and Europe for total coal use. This mega drought is shutting off their hydroelectric power like it's going to do on Boulder Dam. What is it called again? I'm showing my age. It's no longer Boulder Dam. It's whatever runs off of Lake Mead. This mega drought is shutting down hydroelectric plants, forcing them to burn even more coal to make up for the demand, which is added more carbon to the atmosphere, exacerbating the warming. Why do we have to have numbskulls? I am using that word today. They can't see what their lack of work since the 70s have imposed. When we had solar cells on the White House so that we could be an example, a bastion to the rest of the world to say, this is how we are going to tackle climate change. And we, America, as the country that has thrown the most carbon into the air, as the country that has been most destructive to the environment, we are going to take the lead and show that we are going to make the change. But did we do that? No. I don't want to hear anybody talk about, well, what is China doing? Well, what is India doing? None of them. They may be putting more carbon in the air now. Industrial revolution from England to the United States to Western Europe have polluted more than all these countries combined over the decades, over the centuries. So we have a responsibility because our wealth was built on extracting from them, burning over here to build stuff. Then you know what we did? We started to build all our stuff in China. And then asked China, hey, China, why are you burning so much carbon? Why are you throwing so much carbon into the air, China? You know why? Because we are making your stuff. America, Western Europe, the rest of the world. So when you're asking our per capita usage of carbon, also ask your question, if we are manufacturing everything for you, America doesn't manufacture squat anymore. You see, you always have to look at things through the right eyes. It may seem, oh, look at what, we have reduced our carbon use. We in America have reduced our carbon use. We have not reduced our consumption, but what we've done is thrown the manufacturing of all our consumption to China. And then we tell China, hey, China, why don't you burn less stuff? The hypocrisy they can run this hypocrisy by keeping you dumb. That's the whole goal. Continue with Brother Rudnin. Business Insider, FBI agent found 3 classified documents inside of desk in Trump's office at Mar-a-Lago. DOJ says in the court papers, Trump team may have hidden or moved classified material. DOJ says. CBS News, Justice Department alleges obstructive conduct occurred at Mar-a-Lago. There's no explanation for this other than Trump willfully withheld documents that he was ordered to return. The man is a spy, in my humble opinion. Again, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I think the thug was going to sell all this stuff to get billions of dollars from countries like China and Russia and all these other places. He's a crook. Mediate. Republican National Committee not paying Trump's illegals bill over Mar-a-Lago raid. So far, the GOP has paid for over $2 million in lawyers' fees for Trump. Not anymore. They're cutting Trump off over the taking home classified documents. There's speculation over the reasons behind this, taken from a story. Meanwhile, Trump himself has a long history of stiffing lawyers. Yep. Let's see who's going to work for him now because he doesn't like to pay his bill. He's a thug. All right. The Wrap. Truth Social rejected Google Play Store for insufficient content moderation. I talked about that yesterday because brother, not Lee Grant, brother actually came out and told us about that yesterday. So we spoke about that yesterday. Who told us about that yesterday? Actually, I think it was, I don't remember, but somebody in our posse told us about that yesterday. All right, last one from Rudnitz says, LA Times, California heat waves are getting worse. Blame the vicious heat dome. The extreme temperatures that will bear down on California over the next week are the result of a heat dome, a phenomenon that typically brings broiling conditions to the state as summer fades into fall. But climate change is worsening that dome effects, making it more lethal for people who cannot seek relief. Experts are sounding alarms about what they say is likely to be a worst heat wave of the year so far. Heat is the leading weather-related cause of death in the United States, and due to accelerating global warming, the numbers of treat exhaustion and heat strokes are rising every year. Look, you know what? I called Rudnin one of our producers, right? I really appreciate your input. Give people in the beginning of the program some of this stuff. And I know a lot of you know it, but a lot of other people that listen to this stuff on podcasts, it is very informative to them. You know how I know? Because they tell me so. So thank you all you guys that give information. All of you provide good information. All right, let's continue here. Eric Hayes says, why do we have over 11 million job openings equates to twice the number of unemployed? Why is it Biden inflation? No. Let's get it clear. You guys have been saying the economy sucks. What we're saying is that the economy has a lot of opportunities for people to work. And by that token, if inflation is supposed to be real, if we have so many jobs opening with fewer people chasing it, you know what should be happening? They should be paying a lot more for these jobs. An ice cream company showed the way. He was paying $7.25 for ice cream. For the person who came in, he couldn't get an application. He changed it to $15 an hour. He couldn't stop the applications from coming in from those kids who said, $15 an hour, then I'll work. Pay me what I'm worth, not slave labor. So thank you for bringing that out. Now read it, instead of reading it as Bidenflation, try to use a bit of intellect to determine what it really means. Bridge MCP says, Bridge MCP, I think they removed the app from their platform because they didn't adhere to the TOS. It's still active so far unless their platform pulls the plug. Actually, I think that part, I don't think they would remove. I think that would hold them to a suit. Bruce Pollard said, howdy, I worry about our government. Blue or red is not doing a good job with the world situation. Can we have a program? Color revolutions and world order? Color revolutions. Explain what you mean by that. I think I know, but I don't want to jump the gun. So let me know what you mean, brother Bruce. Eric Hayes says, no blue or red should think red, white, and blue. Think of the nation. I always think red, white, and blue. But what it turns out to be is the only one that cares about this nation is blue. Because if the red says no health care, if red says no taxing the rich, if red says all those things, then what red is doing is harming the vast majority of the American citizenry. And no, I won't take that red. I care too much about people. Bridge MCP Plumbing at Egberto Willis. You're a big engineer. You can do plumbing. No, girl. I have a feeling this stuff is underneath where I can't reach. And you know what? I'm a mechanical engineer, but I leave the plumbing to the experts. You know, the plumbing to the experts. Because honestly speaking, when you have two sinks in two different locations that are plugged up, I have to find where that common node is. And you got, these guys who know around this house know that a lot better than I do. Bridge MCP says country is divided because of Trump. He's now playing fire with fire finally. Yes, it is. I love what Biden have been doing. Biden is really, really tearing into the Republican leadership. Hoover Dam, thank you, Michael Rudden. Lake Mead, Lake Powell, Glen Canyon Dam, and Hoover Dam. Exactly. Glen Canyon is for Lake Mead. No, for Lake Powell. And Hoover Dam is for Lake Mead, if I recall correctly. Deb Denny, the Bridge MCP, can be only a good thing. Lots of other RW right-wing apps, they can be thrown away too. I agree. Is the solar or wind in Nevada? Why use coal with reliable sources? Well, again, it seems like Eric Hayes has not learned back in store, have not learned storage, and have not learned that all these forms of energy can be stored. But what can I say? You can't ask a horse to drink. You can take him to the water, but you can't force him to swallow it and put it in his gut. Egberto, we need a Green New Deal. Push 100% renewable energy. Become the world leader in properly addressing global warming. I agree. Egberto, individual airplanes burn the most emissions, but we'll see John and Energy Czar and Biden and... Oh, Lord, help him, please, Lord. CSAC, the more wind and solar, the more gas turbines have to be installed to overcome the intermittency of water and solar. Again, if you guys would just read, instead of following the ineptitude that's promoted by the right wing, read. Let's talk about back in store. You don't have to have turbine energy backing up solar. There is enough material in the world for us to have batteries. There is enough material in the world for us to create lakes that are back in stores. We can create lakes. We can create weights in I don't remember what country in Europe. They're playing with using mega weights that are potential energy, turning the overstimulated or the overproduction of wind and solar energy. They're turning it into potential energy by moving very, very heavy weights up. And in the times of no solar, the weights come down, right? That's all, by the way, that's all oil and gas is. Oil and gas are storage mediums. How are they storage mediums? Because they turn solar energy into carbon energy. I mean, not carbon energy, but it turns something that can burn. That solar energy from chlorophyll into plants, then the cellulose turns into carbon, the carbon turns into... It's all storage of the sun. Okay? Señores, por favor. It's not difficult. It really is not difficult. But if you want to be purposefully uninformed, you can. If you want to be purposefully uninformed, you can choose to do it. You can choose to say, we're still going to be burning, burn, baby, burn, drill, baby, drill. If you want to do it, you can. But realize that your stupidity is actual. I'm sorry for you. Don't talk like this. But sometimes you guys concern me. Brothers and sisters, specifically those on the right that are trying to do everything to slow down electrical power, to try down to slow down electrical cars. You should be speeding electrical cars up because it uses electricity, and because electricity can be gotten from fossil fuel, renewables, or anything, it is a perfect alternative. Por favor, amigos míos. Por favor. Oh, Lord. All right, I got a lot of videos to show, so I want to really get through this real quickly. Michael runs like, Berto, you skipped the one I thought you would read for sure. West Point KKK. I saw that. Not you know, I'm going to tell you guys something, right? Yeah, West Point decided not to remove some sort of a KKK insignia, all right, because they're scared of the blowback or something. I think all those kinds of things are distractions. Oh, I even thought removing the statues are a distraction. I want them removed, but I'm not going to make a big issue out of them. I pass a statue, I don't give a hell what it says. I care what's in the hearts of people. That a damn statue is there, it doesn't mean a damn thing to me, really. I promise you. That somebody wants to be flying the Confederate flags. I kind of like when they fly the Confederate flags because I know who they are then. If you got the gall to fly the Confederate flag, well, I know what kind of person you are. So no, I don't care about those things. I care about solving problems for the American people. I think, let me give another example here because this is something people give me a hard time for. You know, I would be out sometimes, and even here in the show sometimes, somebody may write me an email, you N-word they use on me, and people, you know, they want a reaction out of me. They want me to go ahead and get crazy and act crazy. Oh, why? I can't believe you called me that, or why did you call me? I don't care. You can call me as you please. I don't care. It means absolutamente nada para mí. It means nothing to me. You know why? All matters to me is that I'm doing good to make things better for the rest of everybody else. And I wish everybody thought like that. When somebody uses those things, those are just distractions. And yet people say, well, it hurts my feeling. Why? If somebody calls me a name that has no value, do you really think it hurts my feelings? I am still seeing sound being transmitted. Anybody else having a sound problem like Bridge MCP is? So that is where I want to go with that. I don't want to spend too much time on that. But call me whatever you want. Call me anything you want. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. I think if we learned not to let those distractions cause us to go into a ruckus, we would look at the real problems and slam the politicians. Those other things, please, 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 please. Okay. Bruce Pollard said, color revolution, sometimes colored revolution, is a term used since 2004 by worldwide media to describe various anti-regime protest movements and accompanying attempted or successful changes of government that took place in post-Soviet Eurasia during the early 21st, namely countries of former Soviet Union, the former Yugoslavia, and the People's Republic of China. The term has also been widely to several other revolutions elsewhere, including the Middle East, East Asia, Pacific region. And let's see what else here. Oh, my mouse is gone. Come on, mouse, come back. I have this new tool that I'm using with my mouse. Sometimes I lose the mouse. Okay, I got it. Some observers such as Justin Raimundo and Michael Lynn have called the events a revolutionary wave, the origins of which can be traced back to the 1986 People Power Revolution, also known as the Yellow Revolution. Okay, I'm with you. There's plenty of sun to go around. Exactly, Senor Bruce. Bridge got sound to work, had to go off Facebook. Okay. All right, battery isn't long term, bro. No, battery isn't long term because battery has to be recharged. And that's the idea. When the sun is shining, you put the battery in. Guess what isn't long term? Fossil fuel. Because we either going to run out of the fossil fuel, which is unlikely because there's so much, or we're going to burn ourselves up and put us back into a cycle of the regeneration of fossil fuel, which takes millions of years. Choose your pain. We have the option right now. Well, again, you don't want to understand science, but that's your call, my brother. When we cut down, Paul Fleming, folks, is the one who told us about is the one who wrote in yesterday, I think, about the KKK thing or something else. Oh no. But, you know, I get so much information from all of you. It's great. All right, let's see. Become the world leaders in blackouts and most expensive energy period. Oh, Lord. The person's causing blackout in Texas is our governor who has lousy you-know-what. We should be looking at advanced nuclear power plants to burn up used nuclear fuel. Now, here's Mike Cisak. There's actually some merit to that, right? If a technology is developed, and I don't know the physics behind it, but if a technology is developed that can turn waste radioactive fuel into energy, and the result is very low radiated results, which means you don't have to wait for the decaying over hundreds of thousands of years for these things to reach its half-life, then I would be with you. But again, all these things require us to have an open mind with science. It's all about science. Science and science. E2247 said, Arizona and Nevada are now both performing poorly on best places to live, driven by state spending on education, worsening cost of living, and healthcare affordability. I can see why. All right, B Alpha says, y'all seen people place the Dr. Oz sign sideways so that it says no? I hadn't seen that, Bruce, but man, I never thought about that. Welcome aboard Shiva Las Vegas. Dang right. I hope you're hearing what I said. Okay, all right. Go nuclear. All right, folks, here is my next story. And I'm going to play it first. Wait a minute. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? I wanted to play it first. And I'm going to have to pull it up because guess what? Yours truly did. Yours truly forgot to cue some of the things we're going to talk about today. But guess what yours truly has just done? Yours truly has just, you know what, I better move this while I'm here. Because, look, I want to make sure and give you guys only truthful info. You won't get crap from politics done right. You will only get truthful info. So guess what? Are you ready? Are you ready for the blue wave? You know, everybody was talking about a red wave, red wave, red wave. Be prepared, folks. We are talking blue wave. Check this out. For the past few months, I've been telling you all not to read the polls today. The polls have to be adjusted to make the likely voter model look more like what it's going to be. And right now it just isn't. Same as far as the registered voter model. You have to get these things right. You have to get the sentiment of the people. You also have to there with the people and not just making cold calls. You have to make an analysis based on what the body politic in random selections are done. And that, a lot of times that's not done because, well, they use telephones and they don't know the makeup of the kind of folks that make up their telephone database and all of that. All of that has to be tested over and over again to make sure you're getting a good sample that represents America. Now, when you're in this kind of business that I am, you don't get the exact numbers, but empirically, you can see a shift over time in who reads your blogs, the response that your blogs get, and etc. How people, the actual tonality of what's coming across. And if you're blogging in many places, both conservative as well as progressive, etc., you get a good feel for where people are. You don't have the fixed numbers. That's for the statisticians to do. But for a long time, I've been saying that we are heading towards Democrats winning Congress, winning the Senate. In other words, winning it all. And I'm going to go a bit further. We're not going to lose anybody in the House. We're actually going to gain in the House. If we follow on the path, if we continue to fight and tell the truth, if we continue to expose the thugs in ties, if we continue to expose the Republicans like Ed Young, a evangelical preacher who is there lying to his pew, or the Dallas evangelical who tries to tell women what to do with their bodies and find out he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing on the internet. If we actually we are not people that don't make mistakes. I'm talking about progressives, that is. But we don't try to micromanage anybody's virtues, anybody's values. Supposed to be tolerant. Well, anyhow, it seems like the numbers are coming into fold now. I just received the latest, just hot off the press, the new Quinnipiac poll. And the new Quinnipiac poll has a lot to say, folks. Biden's approval rating surges after hitting low mark in July. And that is, he went from 31% and a 60% job disapproval rating to now, and this is a poll that's been very hard on Democrats. For some reason, I don't get it why. Because they're off a lot of times. But anyhow, now it went from 31% support for Biden now to 40% support. So a 9-point in a month move. We have the federal student loans. Right now the Republicans have thrown everything they could at student loans. Oh, you're messing with the working class. You just elitists. Give us free money to people who went to college. They like to disparage college. Well, 53-43 is what that is support of that. But here is the kicker. Half of Americans say Trump should be prosecuted on criminal charges over his handling of classified documents. 50% says he should be prosecuted. 41% says no. If you get 50% of the people saying you need to prosecute Donald Trump, that means you've got a lot of independents also, and that's another trigger. Because all those independents that are saying, let's go put away Donald Trump, are the same independents that would have voted for Republicans, and those Republicans that continue their undying support for Donald Trump are going to find themselves in trouble. So that is a telltale signal right there. The federal student loan is more than a Democratic cue. It's also one of independence. And likewise with those who want Donald Trump prosecuted, but it gets worse. Nearly 6 in 10, according to this poll, think that Donald Trump acted inappropriately. What that is telling you is 10% of the people know he's guilty, but because we're Republicans, we don't want to do anything about it. 2/3 of Americans think the nation's democracy is in danger of collapse, up from 58%. This poll it has caught up to what we've been talking about here on Politics Done Right for a very long time. This election isn't this red wave that people are going to talk about or been talking about. This election isn't even a red wave. This election is actually going to be a mildly blue wave. Mark my word, because Americans are starting to understand the fraud that is the leadership of the Republican Party and those that are running for Congress, those that are running for Senate, those that are running for state houses, who still support the fraud in chief. Americans are waking up. I said it was going to happen, and it is starting to happen. They realize the fraud that they are, and the next ones they're coming for, neoliberals, be careful, because when America starts to wake up, remember, the values that they want are the same values progressives have been pushing, because what progressives want is what the vast majority of Americans say that they want. So folks, do the work. You have to do the work. However, we only win if you go out there and do the work. Enlighten people. Tell them the truth. Show them the numbers. Show them the numbers in a manner that means that it's meaningful to them. And it will be impossible. Hear what I'm saying? It is impossible for the House to switch. It is impossible for the Senate to switch if we are open, transparent, truthful, and if we speak to the hearts of the people. Mark my word, there is no red wave. In fact, a blue wave is in the making. We spend a lot of time. Are you ready for the blue wave? I repeat, are you ready for the blue wave? The idea is this. I want you guys to remember this. There is a minority of people in this country that are card-carrying Republicans. Then the second minority are card-carrying Democrats. But there are more card-carrying Democrats than there are card-carrying Republicans. The largest group in this country are independents, people who will swing anywhere. Okay? People who will swing anywhere because you have spoken to their hearts, because you have convinced them, because you have proved to them. If neoliberal Democrats decide to start talking to the people instead of to the corporations, if they decide that finally we are going to be of the people, it's impossible with gerrymandering or not. It is impossible for Republicans, the ones that we know are the what the president calls the MAGA Republicans. It's impossible for them because they are a minority, however loud, a minority. Remember, if you're a progressive, you look like most of the country. The things that you want, most of the country. Bridge says, I'm an independent. Bridge, I'm also an independent who caucuses with the Democratic Party because I'm a super, super progressive person. You know what that means. All right, anyhow, I have another one to play for you. This one has to do with the good old state of Mississippi. Mississippi is conservatism on steroids. Mississippi is the low-tax state, the state where people would go to because their money can go so much further because they don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to support. And like all these red states, they bang on the poor to support the state. So what happens? It looks like a third world. I'm from Panama, who you guys like to call the Banana Republic, the third world. I have never, ever boiled water. I have never, ever seen brown water. Our water come out of a Rio Chagres, the Chagres River that fills the canal. I have never seen dirty water in my life. Nunca he visto agua sucia. Nunca. Siempre he bebido agua que sabe como perfectamente bien. Always drank beautiful tasting water out of the Chagres River, Panama, Central America. And what do we get out of Mississippi, the red state? Red state government, red state governors, red states in general, they continue their path to third world status. And if you have any doubts about it, just think Jacksonville, Mississippi. Jacksonville, Mississippi, deteriorating infrastructure. They refuse, they pride themselves in very, very low taxes. In other words, you get what you pay for. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. This is shameful. In third world countries, seeing this, they would think that they are in some part of Southern Asia or some crazy place that has poverty problems. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
Jackson, Mississippi remains in a state of emergency this morning. The city's water system has been shut down due to that massive flooding, leaving 200,000 people without clean water. But it's not a new problem in Jackson.
This morning in Jackson, Mississippi, residents are already lining up for limited supplies of water. The governor declaring a new state of emergency, calling in the National Guard to help distribute water to 180,000 people.
This is not a situation that's going to be solved immediately, and it's not going to be solved overnight.
If you're lucky enough to get water from the tap, it has to be boiled. Caprice Young says her kids' schools have no water, forcing the district to implement virtual learning this week. It also means showering a relative's house and spending $100 a week for bottled water. And for many more residents, the wait for water could be long.
What's your message to the people that had to leave empty-handed today?
We do have water in the system. We are putting it in the city's distribution system, and over the next 24 to 36 hours, we will see significant numbers of the truckloads of clean water.
Stephanie Griedler spent $90 on this one grocery run to make sure her elderly parents had water.
It is a complete shame that this is not a new thing. Water challenges have been there for years.
You know, yesterday I put up a chart, and on that chart it showed that the people in red states, specifically Texas, that the poor classes are taxed per capita, and based on how much they make, more so on a higher percentage rate than people in places like California. In other words, California have high taxes. Rich people pay a ton of taxes in California. The poor people pay less. In states like Texas, the burden is placed on everybody else. So we have a state like Mississippi, one of the poorest states in the country, a red state that doesn't want to collect taxes on the wealthy, a state that always talks about low taxes and doesn't want to give their citizens health care. They don't want the expansion to the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act so that their people can get taken care of. They don't want anything that will bring progress to their people. Their infrastructure is going to hell because, well, they don't have the taxes to cover this, and then they try to, to shoot the bull. But here's the funny part about it. They claim they are low tax states, right? I want you to listen to, I specifically left two women in that report. The woman that had to pay $100 a week in water, and that other woman who just went to the grocery store to make sure her mother was okay, she paid $90 in water. Of course, she could have paid $90 for the entire month or two of potable water in a good, structured, government-run potable system, right? But no, if you're not collecting taxes, you have to rob Peter to pay Paul to keep your systems up to date, to keep your system working, which is what's being done all over this country, because we want to keep taxes low on those rich people, but the poor people who depend on these infrastructures are the ones who pay. That $400 a month that woman is spending on water, that's a tax. It's just not going to the government, it's going to the private sector who's selling clean water. So do you see how the system works? We starve the government from providing good services, then we charge, the private sector charges you an inflated price for something that you normally get cheaply from the government. So you starve the government. Yes, those governments are inefficient. No, the ones that are inefficient are the ones selling you a bottle of water for $2. The ones that are inefficient are the ones that selling you potable water, just regular drinking water, at a higher price than a gallon of gas. People, don't you get it? We have people who are designing the destruction of government that gives you things at an economical price so that a few in the private sector can rip you off. Water at more than the price of a gallon of gas. Milk at $5 a half a gallon. These people are ripping you off to kingdom come and then ask you to look at Uncle Sam as the cause, as opposed to a greedy capitalist structure that is milking everything it can out of you. You don't have to listen to me. Just go to the grocery store and see who is charging you and see why. How did they get the ability to charge you what they are? Folks, we have to wake up. We have to stop buying the crap. We must stop buying the crap. It is a shame what goes on. It's going and we are exporting this crap around the world. Nigeria used to have fairly good water. And thank you, Brother Rudden. Brother Rudden went and looked up the water in Panama. I love when people corroborate what I'm saying. They want to say, let's make sure Egberto isn't just lying to us about stuff. And he found out, Panama has the best water, better than here in the United States, better than any other country in Central America. And I'm not patting the back of Panama. I'm just saying we're a third world country, right? We're a banana republic, right? But anyhow, mira lo que voy a decir. We have to smarten up. The idea, they're trying to do the same thing with the post office, right? You can mail a letter in the post office for 50-something cents and go anywhere in the country, including Alaska or Hawaii. You can mail a letter 52 cents. FedEx, UPS, DHL, they don't want that. So they want the government to do whatever they can to make the post office look inefficient. how can the post office be considered inefficient? I don't care how much you hate the people that work at the post office. If I can reliably get a letter for 52 cents, or 54, whatever it costs now, from Houston to Hawaii, I can do it. And the cheapest that FedEx will charge you is 12 bucks, 15, 20. Who is efficient, people? We have to learn to think. They want you to destroy the post office so that you will now send information at $5 and $10 to the private sector, so the guy who owns FedEx, the guy who owns UPS can take home billions in profits. And guess where that money came from? You! People, we have to get share politics done right, folks. Please, I beg you. We have to educate ourselves as far as how the media, driven by a private sector, is trying to put crap in your head so that you will do things that cost you more money. Oh, I can always send something for 52 cents or 55 cents. Now I'm going to have to charge it at least $5 to do it. You guys better smarten up, brothers and sisters. Let's get with the program. Let's see, what time is it? 45. This next one is 13 minutes and change. I tell you what, I'll play Mark Thompson tomorrow because I'll be running too close. So the show is yours for now. It's always yours, but I have the next video is about 14 minutes, and I only have about 14 minutes left of show. So if I play that video, we won't have much to talk about. So let's go ahead and let me go. Oh, I haven't done my ask yet. Oops. Let's go ahead and do that. Politics done right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody, so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books. As you see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books. Politics Done Right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet. Well, folks, it's your show. You demanded that I play it. Here it goes. Welcome to another edition, a live edition of Politics Done Right from Netroots Nation 2022. Look who I found. I'm honored to be Mark Thompson.
Hey, man.
Man, talk to me. Before that, introduce yourself to my audience.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Netroots Nation, the place where we've been able to come together for a number of years. The largest convention of progressives in the country, and the first time we've been able to do it since COVID and do it in person. My name is Reverend Mark Thompson. I'm the host of Make It Plain, where you can get wherever you get your podcast. Many of you may remember when Make It Plain was on SiriusXM, but we're a podcast. In fact, if I had known, the podcast is so big.
Yes,
I mean, such a big thing.
It's a big industry now.
If I had known, I would have left satellite years earlier.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you know, my talk show was the first talk show ever on satellite radio. And people told me, don't do it, it's crazy. Nobody's going. And that was a good call. But I didn't make a good call on podcasts. I didn't get in front of that one. I just didn't see it.
Right.
Didn't see it coming.
Well, you know, the truth of the matter is as a couple of people have already told me, remember, if you do a podcast and you do videos, you have the entire market, right? Because what happens is people want to listen to you, and every so often they want to see you.
They want to see you. That's right.
You know,
That's right.
so
That's
you
right.
give them both worlds.
Yeah, right.
You know?
So no, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. But man, it's good to see you, and
It's
thanks for
great
having
to
me
see
on,
you, man. But tell me a little bit about your new show.
Well,
or your moved show.
Well, as I said, and we're still doing a daily show.
Right.
And as usual, we talk about all the political issues of the day, all the things that are urgent, and all where it intersects issues of race and culture and sexuality and gender. And man, look, to have foreseen the impact of Donald Trump,
Right.
to take this whole thing backwards. I mean, we are going in reverse.
Right.
And but each day it gets worse. I mean, it never stops. He's the gift that keeps on giving in terms
Right.
of content
Yeah.
and analysis and what's really taking place around here and what people need to be aware of and be mindful of and be careful
Right.
about. You know what I mean?
Yes. Now let me ask you something, because I personally feel that Donald Trump makes a good scapegoat, right? I think there are powers behind Donald Trump that is beneficial to some folk that are really silent. It's beneficial to move us back. It's beneficial to have us fighting each other. It's beneficial to create this crazy thing that we deal with, so that otherwise some in power can. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, no, of course. I mean, what he's doing does not just benefit him as an individual.
Right.
But I think we've seen the regression or the degression
Right.
of the right wing of the Republican Party. And where did it really begin? It really came in earnest in recent history with Reagan.
Thank you.
Now-
I mentioned that in my book. There
Yeah.
you go.
Let's look at it. Look at Trump, you look at Reagan.
Right.
Two celebrities, bad hairstyles, not really bright. I mean, Reagan was just read scripts.
Exactly.
And he was pretty bad. But it's interesting, those who were Reagan acolytes would say that Trump is crazy and they're not into that. But he's just the next. He's progressive.
Right.
And let me tell you something, man. I haven't forgotten W. People forgotten about W and his father because Trump is so bad.
Right.
But they were pretty god awful too.
Yeah.
So it's no different. The only real distinction is Trump is louder. He's less discreet in terms of the loudness of his ignorance.
Right.
And he is narcissistic. He's got some other issues, obviously.
Some daddy issues as well.
He's got a lot of
love me
issues.
issues, you know.
He got a lot of issues, and probably some mental illness and some other kind of illnesses.
Yeah.
If y'all go online, this is gonna sound crazy, but I love to talk about this because I think it's funny. There's one clinical theory about Trump is that he has untreated tertiary syphilis.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's what.
Yes.
Google it.
Google
it. And then when you see, I don't know what that is. I don't know what
you remember what they did in the you call it project in the
but I don't.
Tuskegee?
Yeah, but I don't know the symptoms or the side effects of syphilis. But when you read, it's like, wait a minute, this dude is really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
In fact, in 2020, I said to several of the presidential candidates, accuse them of having syphilis. They were like, oh, we can't do that. I said, but think about it. The only thing that got to Trump in 2016 was the little hands. Remember, he obsessed.
You remember that? Yes.
He couldn't get over it. And he kept promoting it every day, talking about it.
Look at these hands. Do they look little?
Real. So imagine if you say you have syphilis for the rest of the campaign, all you would have heard him say was, I don't have syphilis, I don't have syphilis. And he would look even crazy. But anyway, all jokes aside, we thought, man, the January 6th committee was hitting home runs.
Right.
I mean, just turning pages. Now there's a whole nother thing that doesn't even have to do with January 6th.
Yeah.
Bro, let me tell you something, man. We're not criminals or nothing.
Right.
But if somebody called us and said, hey, y'all, we packing up the White House, what you think we can take to sell or do something with? I mean,
We'd be in jail.
No, but think about what you would think of. You might think about paintings, China. Who would ever think about taking top secret nuclear information? Who do you or I know, or anybody in here know? I asked Marcos the same question, that we could sell or give nuclear information to. We don't know that. Now we know people buy some paintings, sell some China. We can go out here on the street in Pittsburgh and sell some hot China.
Yes.
But nuclear information, the only person who could do something with that is someone who is a professional spy.
Yes.
We wouldn't even know who to call. So that lets you know, and also says something about the seriousness of it, because Garland didn't want to do that. Garland did not, we was loath to come after the guy. Everybody was thinking, well, let's prosecute him on January 6th. But if this guy is actually selling military intelligence
From
nuclear,
our own secret stuff. Yeah.
Dude, I mean, that's like what. Now Marcos is funny. He seems to think that Trump's not even that bright. He probably just likes, he likes to flash it. Look, I got nuclear codes. Doesn't even. It's probably too dumb to even figure out how to try to make money off of it. The stages of espionage began with useful idiot. That's the low level.
Right.
And that's what Malcolm Nance and others, we all kind of speculated he was.
Yeah.
But
I heard Malcolm say that. Yeah. But you know what is interesting, Mark? I mean, I think that you're right, first of all. I mean, or I think when Marcos says he's too dumb to think about that, but I think you're right in respect to, it's not about Trump. Trump knows what he has, but other people know what Trump has. And those other people would use his, what did you call him? The useful idiot. Useful idiot. Right. To actually promote those things, So I mean, I don't see any difference in that whatsoever. Now, tell me a little bit about what are your plans going forward. And now you have your new podcast now that you've left Sirius.
Right. Well, I'm doing what I've
seen you on a lot of programs. By the way, you've been all on all the good shows, really hitting it up.
Thank you, brother.
In fact, I think I saw you with Roland Martin giving him a hard time.
We have fun, but just doing what I've always done. Still very much involved in the activist work I do.
Right.
And a big fight now to see if we can get H.R. 40, the reparations bill, passed. Get that out of Congress and get the president to sign it. If Congress won't do it, to get the president to do it by executive order. Still dealing with this police violence.
Right.
In fact, I'm doing a workshop next week for several local organizations. It's interesting as we look at Roe. The issue of abortion rights is now back in the states. It's now a local issue. But ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, all of our issues, all of our politics is really local.
Exactly.
Because it is at the local level they decide to do the redistricting and the gerrymandering.
Right.
Is at the local level where they decide to determine what is taught and not taught in our schools. And it's at the local level, most important, my brother, Berto, where police are governed.
Yes.
There's no federal. So when I go into places, people honestly think, unfortunately, and this is, social media is good, but it's also bad.
Right.
People think that we're going to tweet an end to police violence. So what I do, I go in some of these local communities and say, no. You have to organize here. We went to Akron. Jalen Walker shot 60 times by the police.
Right.
And, the community was torn because it's so small. Everybody knows the police chief.
Right.
Everybody knows these officers. But see, the fact of the matter is, if it were as small as it appears to be, that would never have happened.
Right.
We have to make our community smaller, get in the faces of some of these politicians, let some of these politicians who we may have known for years say, even black ones, if you don't do something to help us reform the police department and establish civilian oversight, then you got to go too. So I'm still doing much of that work.
That is important work. In fact, I think it is time for us to take back command, to take command of police. We have to remember the genesis of police anyway.
That's right.
So this was a slave running thing, and they seem to continue that same behavior too often, including, and you mentioned, including some of the POC ones, black ones, Latino ones.
That's right.
Sort of act like the police force too often, much harsher on people of color themselves. Now, anyway, what would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
Oh man, well, first of all, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. I mean, you know as well as I do. This is very hard work, but it's work that we believe in, work
Yeah.
that we want to do, work that we want to make sure gets out there. So as long as what I try to tell people, Mark, is we have to, as progressives and as this band of brothers and sisters out here, we have to work together and realize that 1 + 1 is 5. In other words, you work alone, and that's what I try to build. I try to build relationships with everybody and say, hey,
Right.
now that I know you have a podcast, Mark, I'm gonna be promoting the whole hell out of your podcast. I want you to do the same for mine and the same for other.
Right.
Because what we have to do is the only way we get the message out is when they tune out of Politics Done Right, they tune into your Mark. What is
Make it plain.
Make It Plain podcast.
Right.
I got to know that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to. We got to know that Marcus has a new podcast that he's starting to do. We got to make it known.
That's right.
And I'm at KPFT Pacifica Network on air as well. And it's interesting because one of the things that we said we need to do to make sure other folks know about other programming is so that they stay with you. We don't want them just listening to you and then going to a Rush Limbaugh lookalike.
Yeah. And obviously too, we still have. Well, I mean, the good news is the Rush Limbaugh's
He's
gone.
no longer with us.
And so that kind of ends the era, I think, of the dominance of the airways that they once had, and that never should have happened in the first place.
Right.
But I think we can get that back, and I agree. We should all be listening to and sharing information.
Right.
But most importantly, and I know you do this, those of us who share information on all of these different shows and platforms, we have to be giving out information that empowers.
Exactly.
And information that assigns.
Right.
So that people are not just listening for the sake of listening.
Exactly.
We're not here just to try to be celebrities, but instead to be a source and a resource where people can go and get information and then go out and act.
I
And go
love
out and do
that. I mean,
something.
that's the most important.
Not talk
statement.
radio, but do radio. That's what I say.
That's the most.
Do radio.
Brother, that's the most important statement. After they listen to you, they must feel that they can go out there and do something.
And do something. Do something.
Mark,
Thank you,
it's
brother.
been my
It's
pleasure.
an honor, brother.
It's
Good to
been
see
my
you, man.
honor.
Congratulations to you. Folks, you all continue to check out Politics Done Right. Support my brother here. He's been in the fight for a long time.
Thank you, my man.
Thank you, brother.
We'll talk.
All right.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. We're over time by 2 minutes, but you know what? Love you all to death. We're going to do this. And remember, the blue wave is on the make. Be prepared for the win. And after the win, let's get things done for the entire country. Let's ensure that the Mike Cesaks and the Lee Grants and the Daniel Ledo of the world actually see the truth that they've been snowed into the beliefs, the fallacies, and let's just make it right. My name is Egberto Willies. Please remember to go to politicsandright.com/store to get our stuff. Politicsandright.com/support has all the different places you can help support the program. My name is Egberto Willies. Nanette Bird Smith, I hadn't seen you before. Welcome aboard. Mike Cisak as well. AC Rodriguez as well. Paul Fleming, I think I called you out already, but you know me. I want to make sure all our people are recognized. I got to get out of here, though. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.